All right, Jesse on fire. Welcome back. So, out of sheer luck, I was completely incapacitated last night. And incapacitated. I was busy last night and couldn't do a video about our strikes on Iran. And that ended up working out to my favor because I have a 100 times better video to show you guys because I had all night and this morning to do a bunch of research that I'm going to share with you guys. Things that no one is putting together right now. That is just objectively, almost certainly exactly what is happening. So we're going to talk about that right now. We're also going to look at the satellite images of the Iran's, like the sites that we bombed, which these are satellite images. They're crazy. Like you could see, I mean, you could see what happened, dude. Like if they're, they're underground. So obviously you're not going to be able to see the actual state of the facility themselves, but you could see enough from these satellite images. Oh my God, we obliterated these places. Okay. So we're going to look at that. But first, I think what's more important to discuss is why we did this. Okay. Like really why we did this and where this all came from. And we're going to have to go a long ways back for you guys to understand Donald Trump's decision-making process when it comes to this thing that just happened. Okay. Now, before we talk about that though, obviously it's like, okay, well, what's Iran going to do? Right. We just essentially, I don't know. If that's not an act of war, I don't know what is, Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Oh, we're enriching uranium for energy sources for our population. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, well, we're going to drop bunker bombs on you. And no, you're not, like blowing up infrastructure that is energy. You know how many wars have been fought over energy? Maybe all of them. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor because we paused oil exports to them. We were like, no, we're not going to give you guys any more oil. They attacked the Pacific Fleet, So this is all always over energy. Now, in this case, this is over enriching uranium to the point of having a nuclear bomb. Now, here's the other thing. When I first saw this, obviously, was like many other people who had voted the way that we had. We were like, what the? We specifically voted exactly opposite of this. We literally could not have been more clear about where we stand on us using our military against foreign nations that have essentially nothing to do with us. Okay. Like we didn't vote for that. And this morning, after doing the amount of research that I did, I've softened on that actually. And, but you're going to have to go back, like I said, to really understand the origins of where this came from. But so how Iran is responding is the Iran government moves to block major oil and gas routes. So they voted to block the Strait of Hormuz, and apparently that is going to put 20% of the world's oil and gas flow out of commission. So obviously a 20% drop in oil supply is going to be a massive economic hit to everyone who uses oil and gas, which is every person on earth. However, in a move that demonstrates the pre-planned nature of this to almost a certainty is quietly in the last couple months, Trump passed massive deregulation of the oil industry in the Midwest. So we are going to be able to, we're going to be producing our own oil to mitigate what they almost inevitably would do. Cause that's what they can't fight us with military, Iran's going to fight our military. They can't. So what are they going to do? Most predictable thing ever. They're going to try to withhold oil, which is the entire reason we care about them in that region. But Trump was on it months ago. So clearly this has been planned for a long time. Here's the other thing. So I think about the sequence of events related to how this came about, right? It's like Israel just launches an attack on Iran and everybody's like, what are they like? Hey, Israel, I think you guys are you might be doing a little too much, guys, maybe doing a little bit too much. I stay out of having like really strong opinions about what's going on in the Middle East because I don't have the context, knowledge, etc. to share any meaningful thoughts on why Israel's doing this around, you know what I mean? But it's like, I think objectively the population can look and be like, Jesus, you guys are still bombing Gaza. Everybody seems like the world is pretty strongly against what you're doing. And then you're going to start another war. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But clearly this was a joint operation with the United States because, and you know, Trump plays it out like, oh, you know, I don't know, but hey, they should make a deal. Hey, they should make a deal. Hey, they should make a deal. Hey, we're going to take a 2-week pause before, like, while we decide whether or not we're going to attack them. Okay. Obviously, that was strategy. Okay. Because he knew we were going to attack them. Of course. You think Trump didn't know we were going to attack them when he said we're going to take a 2-week pause? Of course he knew. And the reason why Israel attacked them first is because they were taking out air defenses, right? So Israel attacks them. They're taking out air defenses, which is the, you know, I mean, the thing that would put our operation at risk if we're going to bomb them. And we are pretending that we are not on board with this or connected to it so that they won't see it coming when we hit them. Okay. Like this is exactly what happened. Almost certainly. Right. It's really fucking smart. If you like, it's like the way this was played was genius. And there were no leaks. No one knew anything about what was going on. Like that is a brilliant execution of strategy across the, you know, deregulation in the Midwest. So we prepare for what their response is going to be. And then all this misdirection and Trump, and given the fact that Trump had handled the tariffs the way that he had, it's played it perfect, you know, because he does the tariffs, he said this, and then he's like, oh, we're taking a 90-day pause, you know, or the other, you know, like he's done a lot of these like these pauses on like, oh, the TikTok ban, you know, or TikTok ban, we're going to do a pause. We're going to do a pause. Like he has, you know, established that he's a guy that, oh, you know, we'll push this out a little ways. So it completely, you know, like then no one saw it coming. You know what I mean? But, you know, like it still doesn't change the fact that, you know, we're involved in a foreign conflict. But now let me give you a little bit of context of like the real reason that this is actually happening, because I have a feeling that many people have the same sentiment as I did prior to this, which is like, okay, like Iran can't have a nuclear bomb. Like, I mean, obviously I don't want them to nuke Israel. I don't want anyone to attack anyone with nukes, but I have a very hard time believing that just because like it's Iran, that they're going to behave completely differently than every other country that has them, which is they don't nuke anyone because then they're going to face potential nuclear attack on their own side. Now you would think like, obviously every time I talk about this topic, I think to myself, like just that being the mindset of every country, which it is, you know, we don't want to use nukes because we don't want them to use nukes on us. It's like, how about you don't want to use nukes because you don't want to burn women and children to death in the hundreds of thousands, even millions. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, maybe we should not do that. So we're not absolutely outright evil people who indiscriminately murder women and children. And here's the thing. Let me show you this. So real quick. Okay. I pulled this up because this dude, he just like walked around Tehran a few months ago and he was just going around like, hey, this is what it's like in Tehran. Okay. So I want to play this for you real quick.
To welcome Iran.
Yeah.
Yes. Man.
Yeah.
Hello, Angel. خانم شما. داشت رود بس.
What was that?
رود بس. مازن نرم بابور سر رود بس. Where are you from?
The U.S. The U.S.
آمریکا.
Where'd it go? Yeah.
آمریکا.
Yeah.
پرچم بچه های آمریکا بالا. بچه نیوجرسی، بچه های منهتن. اما ایسان چه خبر؟
I don't know what they're saying. Hopefully it's something good. I think it's good.
Hello. آقا پرچم بچه های آمریکا بالا. My name is دانیال سفری. بچه سلمان سفری.
All right, you got the.
Just like regular people, dude. Just regular people. You know, all of them have a mom and dad, just regular folks in Tehran. And so it's like, you know, when people think about these attacks, they just don't see other people. It's like, they're just regular people like you and me, dude. Okay. Would you burn your next door neighbors that you don't know? Like go down the street, three houses. Hey, do you know them? No. Do you know their names? No, I don't actually. Well, would you go and pour gasoline on their house and then burn their house down with them in it? What? I'm just saying, like, you don't know them. Like, would you light their house on fire and burn their whole family to death? What the? Of course not. You're all, okay, but you would support us dropping a nuke on another country and do that to an entire city? Like, what are you fucking talking about? Of course, like, It's an evil thing to do. I don't like the whole dynamic of, like mutually assured destruction. It's like, how about you just don't do that? Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Okay. I might be living in a utopia world. That's not the reality, obviously. Now, I did a 30-minute video and realized I forgot to show the satellite images. So I'm literally shoehorning this in. So if there's like a little bizarre cut here, that's why. Okay. Because we had a lot of other stuff. Like the meat and bones of this video is coming after this, but I wanted to show the satellite images real quick. Okay, so check this out. So this image on top is this is the Fordo site. This is the main one. The day or on the 20th. So the day before the attacks, and you can see, you can see what the landscape looks like. Like, look at this mountain right here. These are mountains. Okay. They're gone, dude. Look at that crater right there. Now, it is a little bit concerning when you look at this because what you see here is a flattened mountain, and in the crater, this has to be where they hit, but I don't see, I don't know. I don't see any remnants of the plant. This thing over here is the only indicator of where the plant, is. So hopefully we like actually hit it and took it out as opposed to it actually being over here and we missed it. You know what I mean? And then on this one here, this one, I can't really you could see where, so if you look at the top right corner of both images, you can see this is where we hit, because you can see there's all this buildup right here. And then this is kind of flattened out. Otherwise, if it's not there, I can't really tell. And then this one, we flattened this area right there. If you can see that, so this is the area that is just flattened out. But again, it's hard to say because those bombs go underground, the bombs go, they try to shoot these bunker busters into the identical hole that the first one goes in. It's like, whoop, and then they try to go, whoop. And actually on this one, you can see the bunker busters right there. I'm pretty sure, because those three holes are not on this one right here. So if you look on this one, you see those three holes. I'm going to say almost certainly that is where the bunker busters landed, because I heard them say they try to land them in the same hole. And so this is where they hit. And then look at it, just eviscerated this entire mountainside. Now, if you've never seen an underground nuclear test, okay? Like if you've never seen an underground nuclear test, it's wild. And candidly, I don't know. I don't know what are in these bunker busters, dude. I have no idea. But given the fact that it's flattening mountains, is it possible that we have tactical nukes in those things and we knew that no one will know? No one will know if we use a tactical nuke that detonates underground, into a mountain. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Yeah. Look at that. That's a big, big, big bomb, right? So it's an atomic. I can't remember. Wait, hang on. This one. Let me see how many. What the. They don't have the yield of that one on there. But yeah, and then here's this other one. These are I can't remember what the. Yep. See, so you wouldn't know, dude. The bunker busters, do you think they would tell us? You know what I mean? If there are tactical nukes on the end of those bunker busters, you think they would tell us? I don't think so. But anyway, so we'll hopefully we got what we were shooting at. But nonetheless, all right, when I got into the history, specifically though, the history of the Iranian hostage crisis and the Iranian Revolution, and realized that Trump was 35 years old when this happened. 35 years old. Okay, when this hostage situation that we're going to go through right now happened, Trump was 35. Okay, now when 9/11 happened, was way old enough to where that impacted me the same way as it would right now. You know what I mean? Like there's no difference in how I interpreted 9/11 now versus then. And that day is ingrained in my mind in a way that like I remember exactly where I was when I turned on the TV. I know exactly what happened. Literally like to an embarrassing degree. Okay. I had an ex-girlfriend that I was always trying to like separate from in college, but then I would get drunk and then I would accidentally like hook up with her or whatever. And I remember that like the night before, so we had some event or something, like we had some event. So there's a reason why it was like a Tuesday. If I remember correctly, I think it was a Tuesday morning. And I woke up like hungover to my mom had called over and over and over. And my first thought was I looked over and she was in my bed. I was like, God damn it. You know, like this is a 100% true story, dude. And I was like, God, I can't believe I did it again. You know, and then I turned it on and I remember watching the videos of the towers going down and being, I was like, and I remember the first thing I said, I was like, we should nuke everyone, you know? But so my point is Trump was way older than me when this thing happened versus how old I was in 9/11. So think about the impression that this, like living through this for Donald Trump, how would this have impacted him as a person? Okay. Iran took 66 American hostages and held them hostage for 444 days where they were beaten. Okay. They were smacked with rubber hoses. They were put in solitary confinement. Multiple of them tried to kill themselves. Okay. Like, and America under Jimmy Carter sat there and didn't do shit. Okay. While the whole world, everybody in America is like, dude, go flatten these guys. Are you like, can you imagine if a country did this right now? Like, can you fucking imagine? So we're going to watch this right now. And we are going to just consider that when weighing out what he was going to do, this happened when Trump was 35 years old. Okay. So this is what we're going to watch for the Iranian hostage crisis. And just think through this if you experienced it as a 35-year-old.
Mass demonstrations against the Shah's regime began, sparking a cycle of protest and violence. Many of those who took to the streets were inspired by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a Shia cleric and scholar who had been exiled for speaking out against the Shah's reforms. On September 8th in Tehran, troops opened fire on demonstrators who were protesting the imposition of martial law. Many protesters were killed. While the Shah remained indecisive on how to respond to the protests, the revolutionary movement grew. In January 1979, the Shah and his family fled Iran. By February, Khomeini had returned to Iran, and the Shah's regime was effectively over. On April 1st, Khomeini declared Iran an Islamic republic. He was named Iran's political and religious leader for life. Conservative social values, an Islamic dress code, and punishments prescribed by Islamic law were reinstated. Opposition to the revolution was suppressed. Many Western-educated elites fled. Against his own better judgment, U.S. President Jimmy Carter was persuaded to allow the Shah to come to the United States for cancer treatment.
Okay, and again, some background on this. In the early 1950s, the CIA and the United States executed a coup of the former Iranian government and installed the Shah. So the Shah was not popular. And according to like some sources, I mean, I read so much about this morning. It's crazy, dude. According to a bunch of sources, basically like the Shah government had like secret police and they would round up and torture and kill like dissidents. So think about like this, okay? Like you couldn't speak out against them at all. Now, he was like a Western friendly, I mean, we put him in there, like in this, obviously, so we would have good trade relations. But the thing that people don't think about is like the United States does not care how governments treat their people as long as they're doing what we want them to do. You know what I mean? It's like we act like, oh, you know, these human rights violations and, you know, that Saddam Hussein was doing. It's torturing people. Okay. Hey, you think, hey, that's why we're doing this, guys? Hey, that's why we're doing this? You know, give me a break. If that was the case, we would invade every country that has, you know, like the little kid soldiers in Africa. Oh, they don't have they don't have anything we want really. So who gives a shit? Like, give me a break, you know? And so, you know, if that was true, I mean, I have no idea how true that was, but like, if that's true, think about how you felt during COVID. where you couldn't, and we're talking about like, you couldn't say a thing like a man is not a woman without losing your social media. Okay. And you couldn't say things like, dude, hey, when I got the shot, I started feeling tingly in my hands and blah, 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 blah. Like misinformation, banned. I lost a fucking YouTube channel. I lost a YouTube channel partially due to doing a video where when they were going to reinstate mask mandates in my local school district, I was like, this cannot stand. There's no science behind it. Okay. I don't want my kids having to cover their face. Like, no, like they cannot do this. And it was like in 2022. It's like, we cannot allow them to do this. And that got me a strike. It was one of 2 strikes that I had to take the channel down. Because I can't have an opinion about the government implementing a mandatory thing where my children have to cover their face all day. Like I'm not allowed to have an opinion on that. If my opinion is not, yes, cover up their faces, then I'm a dissident. You know what I mean? Like, think about how that made you feel. Well, imagine if that was the case, except people were getting rounded up and killed for it. Like your friends. Okay. It's not like hard to understand how a revolution would happen. However, you know, the people who took over hate America, like despise America. And so when the Shah left, right, he fled. They were like, they wanted him back in Iran because they wanted to do a trial and then execute him. Right. And if you've ever seen, if you saw how, what's his name? Gaddafi's trial and execution went, probably not a very fun time for the Shah. You know what I mean? And so Jimmy Carter allowed him to come to the United States to get cancer treatment. And that infuriated the new Iranian government and the students or whatever.
Many in Iran were incensed by this news. On November 4th, a group of Iranian students aligned with Khomeini's religious agenda invaded the U.S. Embassy. More than 60 American hostages were seized. More than 50 of them were held for 444 days. Almost immediately, the resulting crisis became an unrelenting obsession for the American media. ABC's nightly news special, The Iran Crisis, America Held Hostage, the forerunner of Nightline, became the center of continued coverage. The hostage takers held frequent press conferences and issued public statements. Khomeini demanded that the Shah be extradited to Iran in exchange for the hostages' release.
So right there, think about that, dude. Like, actually think about if that happened right now, okay? If the Iranian government raided the U.S. Embassy and took 66 Americans hostage and started parading them around on television in front of the entire world and then started demanding things from us, send back the Shah. And I'm sure some people were like, fuck the Shah, send him back. But it's like, no way. Okay. Like I would have been like, I don't actually care that much about the Shah. I mean, I don't want to see anyone get tortured and murdered or whatever. But the reason I would have been an absolute stone hardliner on that, I've been like, absolutely not. This is all setting precedent. You can't set a precedent that if people kidnap our people, that we'll give them what they want. Okay. This needs immediate, violent response. Like, make them pay for this, dude. Okay. Like, they need to pay. You have 2 options. You can either talk it out, or you can make them feel like, because what are they doing? They're they'll execute the hostages. It's like, maybe, right? So maybe we take away something that they want much more than they want to keep those hostages, And Jimmy Carter did nothing. Like, he didn't do anything. He had one failed rescue attempt, which didn't even get off the ground because the helicopters got caught in a sandstorm and they literally didn't even get to the area where they were going to try to do the rescue mission. And so Trump is sitting there as a 35-year-old, and it's Trump, dude. Imagine what his opinion on this was. He's probably been waiting 45 years to go drop these bunker buster bombs on these motherfuckers. Like, seriously. Like, really. And I realized, I'm not stupid enough to not realize that the decision is more complicated than just go and hit him. because they have 66 hostages that you don't want them to hurt. You know, like you don't want them to hurt the hostages. But candidly, I have a feeling that they would not have hurt the hostages if you hit. I mean, like, I'll tell you exactly what I would have done. Okay. Like, absolutely 100%. Is I would have told them, I would have been like, we're coming tomorrow night. Okay. You could try to do your air defenses, do whatever you want. Our technology is going to, this is not going to be a hard match. And we're going to hit you hard. That is a warning shot. What you see tomorrow is a fucking warning shot. If you kill one of our hostages, I'm going to evaporate your fucking country. Okay. So you can take this warning shot. You can release them now and we can avoid all of this. But tomorrow night, hell is coming your fucking way. And if you kill a single hostage, I will evaporate your fucking country. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. You have until tomorrow night, make a decision. You play it hard back at them and you have to follow through. I mean, I'm not saying you nuke them necessarily, but you don't nuke them actually. But you hit them hard, hard, and then demand the release. They're going to you have to make them afraid to kill the hostages. Because right there, the way Jimmy Carter handled it was embarrassing. He was trying to deal with them or whatever. They got held there and tortured for 444 days. There's only one way to handle it, and that's the way that I laid it out. If you guys, listen, they released the hostages within minutes after Ronald Reagan got inaugurated. Because they're like, oh shit, this guy's not a pussy like Jimmy Carter. He'll hit us. It's yeah. This is just one of those things that you have to, I'm not talking tough guy shit. This is not tough guy stuff. This is think like them. Okay. This is why I can back into Donald Trump has wanted to hit these guys for, 45 years, is because I can think like him. So you need to think like your enemy, right? You take their power away because you threaten something of theirs. And you have a way bigger stick than them. You're you don't want them to do that. You'd be like, okay, hey, yeah, you do that. Guess what comes? And the reason why you hit them the first time, it's not for punishment. It's not for punishment that they took the hostages. I mean, partially that. It's to demonstrate that your threat is real. It's the bottom line. So Trump had to choke on that for 45 years. Okay. Let's continue how this went out.
Carter refused. Instead, he proposed that an international committee investigate human rights abuses under the Shah's rule, and that financial claims be made against the Shah in U.S. courts, but only if the hostages were freed. Carter's
Pussy. Are you kidding me? I didn't even read that this morning. This is the first I saw that. Jimmy Carter's response was, we'll do an investigation into human rights violations. What are you talking about? No wonder they were so bold, dude. He's immediately folding to them. Immediately.
Negotiations proved fruitless. The U.S. responded by refusing to buy Iranian oil, froze billions of dollars of Iranian assets, and led a campaign of international diplomacy against Iran.
Because the thing is, the students, it was a bunch of, however, 3,000 or something students that led the, them taking over the embassy. At least that's what they say, right? But then the Ayatollah afterwards, he, as soon as the Ayatollah guy is like, yeah, we want this back. The second he makes a demand, now you own it. And that's the Iranian government. So it's this is not us negotiating with someone who's not it's you guys. So anywho.
Diplomats from various countries tried to intervene. Most dramatically, in January 1980, Canadian diplomats helped 6 Americans who hadn't yet been captured flee Iran. Their story was told in the Oscar-winning film Argo. Frustrated by the failure of negotiations, Carter authorized a rescue plan. In April 1980, a small U.S. task force landed
8 helicopters. 8 helicopters is what he said. 8 helicopters. Bro. In response to another government holding 66 of our people hostage, 8 helicopters. Light them up, dude. Light them up, obviously.
In the Iranian desert with plans to rescue the hostages by helicopter. 2 out of 8 helicopters had been forced to turn back. When a third broke down, the mission was aborted, but not before one of the remaining helicopters collided with a support aircraft. 8 servicemen were killed.
The responsibility is fully my own.
Yes, it is. You're exactly right about that. You're exactly right about that. Okay? That's why the way that Trump played this out with the, the way that he played it out with the having Israel take out the air defenses. Dude, if you launch a military campaign, it needs to be successful. If you launch one and they shoot down the plane or shoot down whatever, like, you have the exact opposite result that you want. 8 helicopters. Okay? You're the commander in chief. Like, I understand that this was a plan that was brought to you by someone else, but it was a stupid fucking plan.
In the aftermath of the attempt, we continue to hold the government of Iran responsible for the safety and for the early release of the American hostages who have been held so long.
Secretary of State Cyrus Vance, who had opposed the mission in the first place, resigned. Carter's already damaged public image took another big hit. Neither the Shah's death on July 27, 1980, nor the economic embargo forced Iran's hand. Instead, it was the Iraqi invasion of Iran in September and the subsequent Iran-Iraq war that led to a resolution of the hostage crisis. During a visit to the United Nations, Iranian Prime Minister Rajai was informed that Iran could not expect support in the conflict so long as there were still hostages. Negotiations proceeded. On January 20th, 1981, the hostages were officially released just minutes after the inauguration of Ronald Reagan, who...
Minutes after the inauguration of Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. They're like, oh, wait, so the president that has no dick is going to be, getting out of office, and Ronald Reagan is going in. Like, I think you're going to be dealing with a slightly different guy there, dude. Slightly different person in Ronald Reagan than Jimmy Carter. The exact polar opposite, So anyway, that's some background. That's why Trump did it. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.